I'm proud to introduce our Republican treasurer, and I can say that for over 25 years, Converse has worked hard to help build our party. In addition, many of you know his wife, Sharon. Sharon also has worked for years building the Federation of Republican Women. As a Republican, Converse has worked tirelessly for the people like Barry Goldwater, Ronald Reagan, George Bush. I have a huge resume for Converse, but I can tell you just personally what I know of him. He has impeccable credentials. CPA, knows what he was doing, was a tremendous election by the General Assembly to put him in this office, especially in the current times that we're faced with right now. He also kept one of our very own there at the helm, Scott Mallard, who had been there to help form a cohesive unit, which we all know did a tremendous job for us as our executive director, especially guiding me to New Hampshire and back. So what a great team Converse has built in the Treasurer's office, and I think he'll tell you we're in some pretty desperate times here all over the country. And I'll address what I saw as I was traveling all over the country, but it's nice to know that you've got somebody at the helm of the Treasurer's office that's as responsible as he is with our money, integrity and character. My good friend Henry Master is going to be here in a little while, and Converse, I would tell you that Henry and I grew up about 5 houses apart, and your name would not have been Converse in our neighborhood. Your name would have been TS for tennis shoe, I can tell you that. You'd have never survived with the name Converse. We'd have had you right there. Would we, Henry? Our version of the hood. But Converse, you know, it is a pleasure for you to be here. It's soon to be campaign and election season, and we are so proud that you're our treasurer. Sharon, thank you for sharing to us from Columbia all these years. It is a dedication for these elected officials that drive up here and do these jobs. And Converse, it's my pleasure to introduce you to the executive committee again. Converse Chellis, our state treasurer.
Katon, first of all, I want to thank you for that kind introduction, but I did have a nickname. A lot of times they call me Sneakers, by the way. I want to be online with everyone else to really encourage you to run for the chairmanship again. I have been very proud of what you've done over these years as chairman, and I've seen it work and how just the numbers they talk, 82% came in with, I think, some money problems, and now you're going with, got money, and all that counts, and I think we really he deserves another applause, guys, because he's really done a great job. I want to just bring you up to speed on just a couple of 3 things. I want you, he's already mentioned a few things, but first of all, I want to reintroduce my wife to you. Sharon, would you please stand while I want to tell you a little bit about what she's meant to me and to the Republican Party since we've been married, quite frankly. Back in the 80s when Ronald Reagan was the champion of our party, Sharon, don't sit down yet, I'm not finished. The Republican Federation of Republican Women were just kind of getting really cranked up, and I'm proud to say my pocketbook showed it, that I made sure she was across the state, and I was paying for the gas and a few other things, but she was out there working hard to build that party. Almost doubled the ranks of the Republican women during that period of time. And we started together back 42 years ago, and during that period of time, I can remember up in Peru, and by the way, you pronounce it Peru, Indiana, not Peru. Some people know about it, that's right. Peru, Indiana. And we actually, when I was in the Air Force there, we went over to the JCs had a lot to do with running political things, and they were all Republicans, and we went over there and worked hard to elect those local Republicans. So I can remember doing this from then. I can go back, and Sharon helped me during that period, and we've just been with the Republican Party. I've been with it since since my dad and my mom had me back in 1943. But I can remember a moment in time when I was sitting in a theater, and I booed the president, but the president happened to be a Democrat. And these little friends of mine, I was like 8 years old, and these little friends of mine said, "You can't do that. That's our president." I said, "Yes, I can. He is not a Republican. He's a Democrat." So I know my roots go back far, and then when we were married, and that's why I've got her still standing back there. Is it?
And you gonna pay for that too?
No. We've combined about almost 100 years of working for the Republican Party. So we're real proud of that, and we want to continue that conservative trend in our family. My daughter's a big Republican, and my son's a big Republican, and we're still working at it. You may sit down, Sharon. Thank you. The next part of some other things that combinedly we did is that she was chief of staff with local congressmen for over 8 years. She also helped elect both of those congressmen back 6 years before that and the next 8 years. And we have gone, I've been working with them and from being a treasurer of the congressman to helping with their financial reports, et cetera. And all those times, I kind of was in the background of being a politician. I never did think of myself as a politician. I've been a CPA for almost 40 years. And somewhere along the line, the little nudge came to me and a window opened about being a House member. And that was like 11 or 12 years ago. And being a House member meant a lot because I learned a lot about how government works and how you can maybe find savings and being more of a conservative use of it rather than always being a blame of it. So I've been trying to work that in that way from my background, and I've really done a lot behind the scenes. I've always tried to stay low profile. I was talking to a gentleman just a few seconds ago, and he was looking and squinting and asking me my name and kind of trying to put it all together. Well, the part is I like to think of myself as getting it done. And I'll point on a few things that we've done at the Treasurer's Office to kind of show you that. Last year, when I first got in, there was a few things going on, and Scott was a big part of this, and I just kind of carried it on. I saw what we needed. For 40 years, we've been working with a retirement system that was not stable. I mean, it was unstable, and no one really wanted to tackle that problem. We tackled it in the Treasurer's Office, and with results, we will now save the state of South Carolina more than $3 billion over the next 20 or 25 years with this stabilization. And we did that in a very bipartisan way. It was across the board people, and by doing, not what you got to remember, the best way to get something done is not stack the deck one side or the other, but bring them all together and work through the problem, and that's what we did. It took us about 7 or 8 months, but it worked. And at the end of the day, we had almost 100% of the entire House and Senate voting with us for that bill. And that was a major accomplishment in that sense. But in the background, like I said, in the background, we're still kind of hanging in there, looking at things. And I'm looking at our interest rates. Last year, they started dropping a little bit. And I talked to our guy in what we call our debt management area and said, you ought to look at that. At the end of the day, we found the sweet spot to refinance some bonds. And with that, we're now saving the state taxpayers over $250 million in interest charges that we would have had to pay. Nobody knows that out there, but we did that. We did that during the last fall. You might have seen some TV commercials of the 529 college plan. Being a CPA, I saw that as a tax item. But I will be frank with you, I didn't realize how great South Carolina's retirement plan, not retirement, South Carolina's Future Scholar plan really was. Our 529 plan, and I'm supposed to put a lot of these, what do we call those, Scott, the disclaimers that tell us how great it is. But we have moved since we've started those commercials, and they've been public service type commercials, not costing taxpayers a nickel. Since we started them, we have moved people outside the state of South Carolina thought more of our plan than people in the state when I started. 52% of the accounts were outside the state, 48% inside. Since then, we've moved that number to 42% outside the state, 58% inside the state. We've increased it by about 14 or 15,000 accounts. We have moved our plan from number 8th in the nation down to number 4 in the nation. We've moved it from number 8th into 8th and 9th in the type of investments you can do in your diversification of portfolio to down to about 5%. And again, you got the disclaimers that, because it happened yesterday, it may not happen tomorrow. But it's a great plan, and I've seen that greatness, and I'm out there to tell you we're building it because it's the future of our children tomorrow that will want to go to college and not have the money, but if they start saving now, they'll have that money. Another great thing we've done. And another thing last year, being the accountant, the CPA, I'm not the typical, by the way, CPA. I have I have had a lot of, I do a lot of forensic accounting work in my last 20 or 25 years. And working with attorneys, and I was a defense side. I wasn't on the other side. I wasn't a plaintiff type. I was the good guy type, trying to work to defend businesses and what was going on. And the key to it is being non-typical. I told my wife the other day, I said, Sharon, I read a sentence and I get another meaning out of it. A lot of people read the sentence and get the straight up meaning. But I can tell you, with this background and some of the things I've done, last year we were not able to collect our court fines. And I asked why. And then when we started looking into why, I went over to the General Assembly. I said, we need to have a few teeth in this bill. What we've done since then is we have now made all the municipalities in the state of South Carolina accountable for what they spend in their books. I'm talking real accountability. There's a law in the books that's always been there. I knew that because I did these. I did these audits. I did the municipal audits. I did the public service district audit. I did the county audits. I did state agency audits. I've done them all. I've had some part of all of them. And I knew there was a requirement to exactly do that, and that is to have those audits. And when I found out they weren't doing them, I said, we got to get some teeth in it to make sure that they are accountable to the people. They're not any different than a public company, but the SEC requires public information to be filed the same way as counties, and that's what we went after, and we now did that. And the General Assembly helped us with that. With that, I'm going to kind of wrap it up now. Katon, you're probably sitting over there real nervous about, my Lord, I thought he was going to go take a minute. But you know, when you're having fun at what you're doing and you're having results, accountability results, conservative results on spending and bringing money to the state that wasn't there before you got there. These are exciting things to do, even though we've had some bad economy. But we're still working hard to try to undo that and make things better for the state. And I know in 2010 we're going to have an uphill battle. You know, we could have an uphill battle. But we as Republicans, if we keep with our conservative ideas, use those in our debates, use those in our help in trying to find the right sweet spots to get to the right point. Doesn't mean that you're going to be so far to the conservative you don't get anything done. You've got to get something done. You've got to have a pathway to do it, and that is our pathway. We got to stay with the conservative idea, and in 2010, Katon, we're going to be another successful Republican Party. And with that, I say goodbye, and God bless everyone here. Thank you.